Hi, I'm Supermoon Tarot, and today I'm talking to my Geminis. Hello, Geminis. You guys voted, and the results are in by a mere 1%. The way this video is going to work is the first half is going to be checking in with your energies and the story behind that, and the second half is going to be checking in with your energies, with your career, and what's happening behind that. So let's get started with your energies. Oh, I love this. Okay, that makes sense. That's fantastic. Let's see. Let me look at this for 1 second. I love this. Okay, this is so fantastic. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about what's going on in the energies because it's so important. It looks like you're currently overcoming a long-standing issue. This would be a personal issue, like an inner problem. And I'm so excited for you because it was meant to go away. It was meant to be resolved, or, in order to have this long-term happy success that we see over here in the Nine of Cups. That specifically relates to the Three of Pentacles in reverse, which can be a couple different things. It mostly revolves about the idea of you reaching out and the way you interact with others, but it's the idea of like, are you afraid to ask for support? This also talks about the concept where it's saying like, are you, how are you as a follower? How are you as a leader? And understanding how you interact with the world. Whatever it is, it's been solo for a while, or this feeling of, I don't want to say it's like you against the world, but overall, you're finally going, you know what? Enough is enough. I want to be someone that leads. I want to be someone who better is able to kind of fit with the group and know how to work with everyone equally. Or maybe it's just, and I'll be honest with you, I'm more heavily drawn to the support option where it's like, it's not weakness to ask for help. It's not going to hold you back. It's going to bring you further forward. And it seems like you're overcoming that issue and finally reaching out, which is gorgeous because we have two overly positive cards. The Nine of Cups shows you getting everything you want. So wish for it now. Think exactly what you want, because this card implies if that's the thing you want, you're going to get it to the T. So make sure you're detailed about it. I highly recommend at this time period to journal or script, whatever works for you essentially. But we get that confirmation over here in the Wheel of Fortune in reverse that you're essentially overcoming this cycle. It's this feeling of like you're so close, you're about to get it, and then I don't want to say it's self-sabotage. I guess it's a version of it, but something seems to get in the way and you're back to feeling like you're healing yourself and self-improving and spirituality, and it just doesn't seem to quite pass the cusp and then keep you there, if you know what I'm saying. When it comes to being, there's a terminology where you say you're in the vortex, you're in that kind of bubble of like everything seems to be working out for you. All your manifestations are working out great and everything. Like you're finally ending that nonstop cycle where you can't seem to stay or get in that bubble. This also talks about releasing karma. So if you're working on some sort of shadow work right now or doing some past life work, I highly recommend, by the way. I'm actually currently doing that a lot right now at the moment, and it's extremely helpful. That's actually how karma exists. We carry over things from past lives. So sometimes when we have, things we're working on now in this lifetime and we can't quite find the explanation of why we have it, guess what? It didn't happen in this lifetime. It happened in another. So it seems like a lot of that's getting released right now and solved, and it was some of the major blockages in the way for you, which is great. But I do want to put this out there. You're being given kind of I don't want to say a warning. That sounds kind of intense. Just an awareness of a little habit that could pop in, and you want to be aware of it and not let it stop your flow, essentially. Over here in the Eight of Pentacles, this is when somebody is, first of all, isolated, so anti-support. They think they can do it all by themselves, and they focus too much on perfectionism. They think it has to be perfect in order for it to be loved or worthy. And that's just really not the case at all. If you ever feel like yourself finding, like going in that mindset, definitely go look up other people's work. I know from face value it might seem perfect, but look around. There's definitely something a little out out of line, not symmetrical. They were going with the flow, but because they were confident and they put it out there, or maybe put a few extra little hidden glittery details or whatever, it doesn't quite show to the surface the same way like you might be really focusing. In fact, that support's going to become really helpful because if you feel like you're kicking into that zone, they can look at whatever you're working on and be like, no, I think you're judging yourself too harshly. You know what I mean? Outside perspective is everything, but isolation is just going to make you go further into that. So you're being warned that if you feel that tendency popping up, that's the Wheel of Fortune. I'm sorry, my brain is just thinking about that. That's that popping up and you getting caught back in the cycle, and you're free of that. You don't need to go about it anymore. But I do want to put it out there that just because we end cycles doesn't mean they can't pop up again if we feed them attention and energy. So you can easily avoid this. You're ready to, you've been working on it, you've been popping out of that cycle, and good for you. In addition to that, with all this like positivity surrounding you, which is fantastic, I absolutely love this interaction. I am a huge fan of the Magician card. It's kind of like, to me, the ultimate manifestation card, because the Magician is somebody who not only can manifest and they're like in that zone, but you have to ask yourself, what do I need in order to be someone that can manifest? For many people, it's just a belief system. For some people, it's the experience. Some people, it's the mindset. I mean, everybody's got their own what they need in order to get there. But the Magician has it all. They can depend on what they know, what they've experienced, their passion, their connection. They are a true conduit to what they want to attract, and they can just kind of make it happen instantly. And it's from a combination of things that gives them so much strength. So essentially, these last final blockages are getting you to a pretty powerful state. Don't be surprised if everything just kind of seems to work your way, but it doesn't feel like, oh, wow, I guess my manifestation's working. You're like, no, I know my manifestations are working. I'm in the zone. I am connected. I get it. I see the universe sees me. I'm in it. You know what I mean? Really great place to be ultimately. And I love where it's coming from the Four of Cups in reverse. This is someone coming out of a bad mood, and sometimes like an apathetic or a neutral state. This is the confirmation that by you being more connected and willing to work and see what other people have to see and not see it as a weakness or like someone's going to know something about you kind of thing, the more your heart chakra is essentially opening up. And that heart chakra is kind of like the last final key to you becoming the Magician and therefore getting exactly what you want. Like just like a ton of positivity essentially. So I'm very excited for you. Good for you. That's a big tough thing to overcome. So now let's look at the energies going on with your career. This is kind of bizarre. Oh, that's that support coming in. Okay, fantastic. A little bit bumpy there for a second, but I can see it's all going to work out. That's great. Okay, so the energy's kind of a little hard to read, I guess you could say, because it's... Okay, I'll explain why. So the Two of Pentacles is showing that you've been working very hard and doing your thing and doing a great job of it, may I add. This is a huge compliment to somebody who's not only busy and handling it well, but they're handling a lot of multitasking. So it's not just like a lot of one thing. It's like doing this and that. And often I find this card pops up when it leaks over in your personal life and you're doing a good job in that too. But it is a bit of a warning that if you take on like one more thing, it's going to rock the boat and kind of all spill over, and you don't really need that right now. It's kind of like saying, hey, you're doing great, but you really should let go of something or minimize what you're working on because you're starting to kind of hit that point where you could get burnt out or overwhelmed or whatever. But then the Eight of Cups is really interesting to pop up, because the Two of Pentacles is not a negative thing, and the Eight of Cups is a great thing where it implies you're leaving something behind, and it's a good thing. You're gonna be happier that you left that thing behind. And I think it's really interesting that the interaction between these cards talks about harmony. So we have this harmony going on with both you experiencing the busyness and you kind of being freed and lighten up. It's like you need to experience in true Gemini dualistic fashion. Over here, you need to understand what it feels like to feel very weighed down and overwhelmed, and simultaneously know what it feels like to feel free and kind of not worried about the ramifications of leaving everything behind, which is interesting. I'm curious because this can mean a couple things, and I'm not getting a clear transition in the other cards, because this Eight of Cups often pops up when you're, leaving for a new job or something like that. It could represent the idea of leaving something else behind, you know what I mean? Either way, it does seem like you are going to ultimately, at the minimum, be transitioning from being so busy to somewhere else for the better and be more lighter load. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be leaving your job. It's more like you start to make the choices to say, okay, I'll do so much of this work and then maybe take more time for myself at home. There's an understanding of something. I definitely want to point out one last thing before I look at the story behind these cards is Eight of Cups often pops up for me when I'm connecting to people who are in a spiritual type of journey. So there's a chance that you're focusing less on the material and you're finding more success career-wise, ironically, by not focusing so much on your career because you know what to do, you know how to handle it, and instead focusing more on your spirituality. And as you become more spiritual and you become more woke, so to speak, you then are able to better manifest and kind of, it's interesting. Life is like a hybrid of things that you proactively do now and definitely things like manifestation, law of attraction, which is more not as visible, you know what I mean? It's the untrained eye, so to speak. So it seems like you've handled one aspect of it and you're now getting the balance of being able to successfully do it by being aware of the other. And we talked about that with the Magician card, because the Magician card is a very spiritual card, and being more open with your heart chakras is a more spiritual experience. You have to be very in tune to be willing to be vulnerable like that, which is really beautiful. So I love this. And we have the confirmation that like you're going to get everything you want, which is great. But I thought it was really interesting due to these cards, because we just talked about all this great energy behind you and what's happening. But this talks about the transition and how it directly relates to your career. So I can see in the Judgment card, you're going to be evaluated in some sort. For some of you, this is like a boss and a review. For some of you, it's like an opportunity or a chance. But whatever it is, sometimes, well, I don't want to say all the time. A lot of people just uniformly describe this card as like super destiny based, but it's not always the case when it comes to a career type spirit read. But for some of you, this is when the thing that you're heeding the call to is like very destiny bound and connected to the universe. And by, measuring up to the task, it kind of reflects in all other aspects of your life. You know, when they say the way you interact with like with a romantic partner, you are basically saying, like someone approaching you, you're saying how much you're worth. Do you deserve to be treated this way? Do you not? And then the universe either keeps sending you the same type of person or vice versa. It's kind of like that vibe. It's like the universe is showing to you, okay, here's an opportunity. And then you're basically reflecting back, being like, I can measure up. Now, unfortunately, I do see insecurity issues initially when we have the Strength card in reverse. This mostly focuses on your solar plexus and your sacral chakra, and those are definitely things that you can straight up meditate on and focus on and think about how you can support in order to strengthen those. But either way, it's a confidence thing and thinking that you don't have enough confidence. And that comes from a closed heart chakra, which you will be opening, which is very cool. I'm going to actually slide these down to look at some of these. Some of that lack of confidence gets leaked over. Now that makes sense because I'm looking over here. Some of that lack of confidence shows up because of perfectionism. So when you feel the perfectionism kicking in, it's only fostering and kind of helping add to the lack of confidence. So the less you focus on that and the more you say, I'm good enough, I've always been enough, the more this will be strengthened and good. We do have confirmation over here that yes, this kind of opportunity popping up is the thing that is then once you measure up to it, essentially, yes, you're going to get everything you want. And it's both of these are positive omens that even though initially you will suffer from lack of confidence, you're going to be good in the end and overcome that lack of confidence and get everything you want in the end, either way. I do want to talk about how, see confirmation again here, that the overcoming the past cycles and the karma, it definitely causing this sense of like anxiety and overwhelming, which causes the lack of confidence, all that vibe. But beautifully, we see a support coming your way. It's really interesting. I want to see how that support comes in. It's not very clear because support can be anything from affirmation, people just letting you know they like whatever you're doing. This could be a mentor, but I don't see the right type of cards that imply mentors. The Judgment card does heavily imply your spirit guides or a specific guide stepping forward. So for some of you, this can be a guide stepping forward and talking to you. You can talk to your guide through tarot cards, through pendulums, through dreams. I channel them, things like that. So either way, that support is going to be popping up and helping you with your woes, and specifically helping with your mindset over here in the 10 of Cups in reverse. Now, something important I want you to acknowledge with the 10 of Cups that I think is really kind of cute and Spirit's telling me about is 10 of Cups pops up when you're not really pumped about the thing that you do. But it's a perspective thing in this particular case. It implies that if you didn't feel overwhelmed, and even though you're doing a great job, you are taking on a lot when we saw the 2 of Pentacles, you'd feel like you'd be able to connect to what you're doing more and enjoy it. There is the possibility and potential that what you're doing right now is fun and you could have a great time and a lot of fulfillment from it. You are going to be taking on a more spiritual path, which then helps fix this. And that support is how, with the combination of this. And remember, if this is your guide, this could be the very thing that's helping you spiritually, that helps you overcome this. So I'm super excited for you because basically, these are all positive omens to a higher influx of money income. I'll be honest with you, I'm getting more of a heavier vibe of like consistent money coming in rather than just one singular like bonus or something like that, which is rad. So we all love that. So don't let anxieties and lack of confidence define you, but rather be signals of what you need to focus on. Affirmations. You can work on things called EFTs. Look them up, EFT tapping. These are great ways of removing internal blockages, and you will be removing inner blockages like we talked about. You can work on past life work, all that positive jazz, shadow work. But either way, it is happening. You will overcome. You will make more money. And you're interestingly going to be going down a different path. It's like the less you focus on your job by focusing more on spirituality, the more you ultimately feel more confident in yourself and therefore attract more money. So very excited for you and your magician future. I'm excited for you indeed. If you enjoyed this reading as much as I clearly did, please consider giving the video a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Have a spectacular day. I will see you in the next one. And yeah, bye.